It's time now for our press digest, and we're very delighted to have with us live here in the studio Mr. Mohamed Ansary. He is a freelance researcher and a translator. Good morning, Mr. Ansary.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here. And let's take a look over our first banner that comes from Al Shuru, and we read President Al-Sisi attends Police Day celebration. President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi on Tuesday attends the Police Day celebration in the Police Academy, where the President honors a number of families of police martyrs who were martyred while performing their national duty during the past year. The President also presides over a meeting for the Police Supreme Council and then places a wreath on the memorial of the police martyrs before heading over to Conference Hall. The celebration includes a documentary film about police achievements and challenges that face the Interior Ministry. Minister of Interior General Magdi Abdul Ghaffar is expected to give a speech about the overall security situation during the current period. And the celebration is expected to be attended by House of Representatives Speaker Dr. Ali Abdul Al, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, ministers and senior state officials. Mr. Ansary, of course, that's a very important day because it's one of the very few days that we could pay tribute to those heroes who are who do not spare. Who do not spare any of their efforts, their blood, their honor, anything to spare it for the sake of the security of the country and national security. How do you, witness a day like that?
Yeah, of course, this day has an historical significance as well as a current significance. The historical significance, of course, is that it commemorates what happened on the 25th of January 1952. It's a crucial memory when 50 policemen were killed in clashes between the Egyptian police and the British Army. When the British Army asked the police to let go their post in the city of Ismailia, and the police refused, of course, and there was a fight which claimed the lives of 50 policemen, and 80 policemen were wounded. Since that day in 1952, the Day of the Police has been celebrated as a commemoration of the martyrs. In 2009, ex-President Mubarak made sure that this day was an official holiday and an official celebration. This is the historical significance, but the current significance is, I think, has to do with the role, the important role that the police is taking with regard to fighting terrorism. It's very important that the President Sisi extends sort of support, moral and political support to the police to carry through their mission of fighting terrorism, both in Sinai and also in other areas in Egypt. And of course, it also coincides with the memory of the 2011 25th of January revolution. So all these factors make this a very important celebration.
Also, we cannot deny the fact that the police sector, the Interior Ministry, have played a very effective role during the June 30th revolution. It was such a very impressive day where the police, the people of Egypt and the army and all Egyptians shared together a glorious day that will be registered in history.
Of course, no one can speak about the 25th of January without speaking about the 13th of June. Both revolutions complement and
of course they complete each other.
And complete each other. And 30th June is more or less an extension and the rectification of 25th of January.
Exactly, totally agree. And moving on to Al-Yawm Al-Sabi, we read President Al-Sisi receives a phone call from U.S. President Donald Trump. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Monday a phone call from U.S. President Donald Trump. During the phone call, Trump stressed on the strength of the strategic Egyptian-American relations and emphasized his keenness to push forward to the bilateral cooperation between the U.S. and Egypt on various fields during the next phase and raise it to wider horizons. For his part, President Sisi congratulated President Trump once again on his inauguration that took place earlier this week, as the U.S. President gave him his best regards and wishes. And President Al-Sisi also expressed Egypt's aspiration to boost the strong bilateral relations between the two countries during Trump's term. At the phone call, the two presidents discussed a number of issues, especially the fight against terrorism and extremism, as the U.S. president hailed the efforts exerted by Egypt in this particular field. For his part, Al-Sisi stressed that Egypt is determined to continue its efforts to combat terrorism and extremism, and also to eradicate it from its roots or root it out, despite the burden that is that is put over the Egyptian economy over the past 3 years, or that is striking Egyptian economy over the past 3 years, and by Egyptian people. The U.S. president expressed his aspiration for what Egypt endured during its war against terrorism, stressing the keenness of the new U.S. administration to provide support and assistance needed to Egypt in all fields and to develop bilateral cooperation on various levels. The U.S. president also said he is looking forward to the upcoming visit of President Al-Sisi to Washington, to be able to carry on with the coordination and consultation between the two sides in order to achieve the aspirations of the two friendly people. Meanwhile, White House spokesman said the U.S. President Donald Trump is committed to providing military assistance to Egypt. If you like to elaborate on that very important stop by Al-Yawm Al-Sabi, I believe, one of the main banners of Al-Yawm Al-Sabi, talking about one of the new steps by the new U.S. administration. Of course, we know how the new president for the United States holds respect and admiration to the policies of the Egyptian administration right now. And we have witnessed that during a prior visit to His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during the UN Security Council earlier in 2016, where they met before the presidential elections, and they had a very friendly conversation where President Donald Trump, or the president-elect back then at that time, expressed his utmost admiration gratitude for the Egyptian administration, and in particular leader President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, in his continuous efforts to be able to stand off and counter terrorism inside the whole region.
Yeah. Well, of course, back to this important encounter in September 2016 at the sideline of the UN General Assembly annual meeting. It was a very important meeting, and both sides shared very positive thoughts about it. And when the president was elected, when Trump was elected in November, again, these shared goals and shared vision were asserted. Of course, there are much more in common between, much more common issues and agendas between our regime and our president, and between Trump, much more than that was the case with his predecessor. Because Trump was very clear and very strong in his campaign, and after he was elected in his inauguration ceremony, was very clear about the determination of the U.S. to fight terrorism in the globe, in the world, not just in the US and Europe, but also in the globe, which is a very important common goal also held by President Sisi, who is doing a lot to fight terrorist groups in Sinai and in the mainland of Egypt. So this is one major issue, if not the major issue, the commitment by both sides to fight global terrorism. Also, there are other side issues. Well, they are not side issues, they are important issues, but they are not as important as fighting terrorism. One of the issues is the position in Libya. Both President al-Sisi and President Trump agree on supporting the efforts of General Haftar in Benghazi in Libya, and his efforts to forge a government of national unity. We support Haftar, and also Trump declared and announced that he supports his effort in more than one occasion. We have also the issue of Syria, especially gaining more importance with the conference in Kazakhstan, in Astana. Our vision towards Syria is very much close to the vision of the U.S. towards Syria, especially with regard...
The current U.S. administration.
The current U.S.
Not
administration.
the former
No,
one,
I'm talking about
because
the
the
current.
former was holding a totally opposite policy.
No, but the current administration, of course. Well, the main issue for the Americans in Syria is to extinguish the activities of the terrorist organizations.
Do you think the current U.S. administration is going, just for out of curiosity, the current administration of the U.S. There is going to give the militants, the terrorist militants inside Syria, another definition other than the moderate opposition?
Well, I don't think that they use the term moderate opposition.
Because this was an important element of conflict, a conflict between the Arab region and the U.S. administration.
No, but
that particular definition of the opposition, what they dubbed as opposition, and what we have seen and witnessed in Syria.
No, the term moderate opposition was used more by Obama administration.
Exactly, the former administration.
But right now, Trump uses very clear terminology.
Very clear policies
with regard to
straightforward.
with regard to especially IS, the Islamic State organization, Daesh, and with regard to...
That's what they call themselves, because they do not refer to Islam by any means.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the term used in the media, in the international media and in our local media. Well, more in the international media.
We use it as, we call it Daesh. Here, the state-run media and local media, and the Arab word, it's Daesh.
In international media,
we are in full recognition of
in international media, it's referred to as IS.
Exactly.
It was before. It was referred to as ISIS, Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, but now it's referred to as IS.
But that's a very wrong term, because it's a very wrong definition.
It's not really our issue.
Exactly. It's very much of our issue.
Let me just refer to another important factor uniting the Egyptian and American and the current American vision. Well, there are differences on the issue of Palestine, of course, especially with what has been announced about the intention to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Even though there are differences, but President Trump realizes very well that Egypt has a very long diplomatic history in the issue of Palestine. And I think they value the Egyptian role in this respect more than the Obama administration did. So in the coming few months, I think we will witness, with regard to the issue of Palestine, a resurgence of the Egyptian role in the region with regard to this particular issue, with American blessing, or with the blessing of President Trump.
He said that they're going to delay that particular decision a little bit. He announced that earlier.
Yes, he announced that earlier, but many skeptics about this in the Arab world.
Well, time is going to unveil lots of other truths later on. And still with Al-Youm, Al-Saba, and we read, President Al-Sisi receives a message from the French President, François Hollande. President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi received on Monday, head of the Arab World Institute, Jacques Lang. Lang conveyed a message from French President François Hollande, in which he stressed his appreciation for Egypt and its leadership. Hollande also hailed distinguished bilateral relations between the two countries, stressing France's keenness to continue to develop these relations on all levels. During the meeting, Lang presented efforts by the Arab Institute, which is based in Paris, to build bridges of communication between Arab and European civilizations. Lang also referred to the pivotal role of Egypt in strengthening the cultural ties between Arab world and Europe as a beacon of civilization. The head of the Arab World Institute also presented a number of events and cultural archaeological exhibitions to be organized by the Institute during the coming period. Lang asked for Egypt's support for these events, which aim at highlighting the history of ancient Egypt and cultural heritage, which contributed to the enrichment of human civilization. For his part, President al-Sisi asked Lang to convey his greetings to President Hollande, hailing Egyptian-French relations at the official and popular levels. The President also hailed France's position in standing or supporting Egypt, and President al-Sisi also expressed his appreciation for the role played by Arab World Institute in enhancing dialogue and rapprochement between Arab and European cultures. President stressed Egypt's keenness on providing a civilized model based on respect of the other and respect of ideas and respect of freedom of speech, even in case of differences. The President also stressed Egypt's keenness on providing a civilized model based on equality and upholding the value of citizenship. President Sisi stressed Egypt full support for Institute cultural activities in the coming period, and he gave his directives to the state's concerned bodies, to the governmental sectors, I guess that is what is meant, to cooperate with the Institute on all levels. If you'd like to elaborate on such an important step in the bilateral ties or historical ties between France and Egypt, on a cultural and all other aspects and fronts.
The cultural aspect is pivotal and very important because both France and Egypt are defined in many sources as what we say, what we call the soft state.
Soft
diplomacy or the soft state. Meaning that the culture and intellectual activity and language and all related activities to culture is the major and the leading factor in diplomacy between this state and the rest of the world. So this applies to France and this applies to Egypt. And perhaps comes the significance of delivering the message by President Hollande to President Sisi through the chairman or the head of the Arab Institute. The Arab Institute has been playing a very important role for the French to understand the significance of the Arab culture, and especially the Egyptian culture. Egypt particularly occupies a very important role in the French mind and among French intellectuals because of its central geographical and historical ties. We have seen, of course, a number of publications asserted that even though that the number of Francophone elite in Egypt is much less than, for example, the Francophone elite in North Africa, but Egypt has a stronger edge in that respect because essentially of its history and long ties with Europe and even the ancient history. So the cultural aspect is very important, and the cultural aspect affects the political aspects definitely. We know that there was last Sunday a very important meeting in Paris to discuss the two-nation state in Palestine, and Egypt supported this conference a lot. What I want to say is that, particularly in the relation with France, culture creates cultural affiliation, creates political affiliation, and not the other way. Because both countries have a long cultural heritage, they can understand each other in terms of diplomacy. And of course, another important factor is also that Egypt wants to establish a smooth relation with the upcoming regime, and that can only happen through strengthening the ties with the current regime, because we know that there are elections in France coming up in April, I think, and Egypt wants to make a smooth transition with regard to its relations from the old regime to the new regime.
And Egypt have always maintained, especially during President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's time, a wonderful and unprecedented phase of foreign policy with, different countries in the world, in the West and in the East and everywhere. One of the major steps that Egypt have been taking is the foreign policy, and Egypt retaining its leading role worldwide, and a very important political role also among world countries. We're very delighted, Mr. Mohamed Ansary, freelance researcher and translator. Thank you very much for coming over, and you have a very good day. And we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come back to you, so stay with us.